Hey, I'm Sarah Tugender, international speaker and trainer for a $40 million division in healthcare. With over a decade of experience working with healthcare providers, I believe that a healthcare practice should do more than just pay back student loans. Each week, I'll bring you the tips, tricks, and experts you need to build your practice both on and offline. Smart people take notes, so grab a pen or open up the Notes app on your phone as we dive into the Health of Your Business podcast. I can't believe it has taken me over 6 months to release this first interview for you with Barb Stackhouse. And I have to say that my interview with Barb is the reason why I created the Health of Your Business podcast. So funny story, I was doing a training in Nashville, Tennessee. And the week before, I was just doing my normal Facebook scroll and clicking, and all of a sudden came across this group called Profit First for Dentists. I had had a couple meetings recently with dentists and said, this could be interesting. And I reached out to the owner of the group, who was Barb. And I didn't know anything about Barb. We were talking on the phone. I remember I was at the time pushing my son Brody on a walk in the stroller up and down my street. And Barb was from Nashville. And I said, Barb, I'm heading to Nashville in less than 2 weeks. We really should meet up. And so Barb took some time. It was the day after my training, my husband and I's anniversary. We had one final day in Nashville. And in the morning, and I wanted a reason to be able to connect with Barb. And it just kind of blurted out, I want to meet with you and interview you for my podcast. Well, I didn't tell Barb that I didn't actually have a podcast yet. And I didn't think it was going to take me almost 6 months to release this podcast. But one of my goals is now just to make progress and not worry so much about perfection. Complete is much better than perfect, as I'm learning through this podcast process. But Barb and I, it was crazy. My husband and I, we decided that it wasn't really the most professional setting to have her come up to our hotel room. And I knew that there was a lot of different conference rooms. We had used some over my event that I was with. And so we found a room and we thought it would be all great. And we started to record. Well, Barb and I, of course, hit it off, and she was a great guest, except someone came in because they needed the conference room. So Barb and I, we just ended up recording this podcast episode in the lobby of the Embassy Suites in Murfreesboro, Tennessee, which was about 20 minutes from where Barb lives. You can hear kind of the waterfalls from the little babbling brook they had in the lobby of the Embassy Suites. I learned so much from Barb. And even though her specialty is with dentists, and she's a dental hygienist herself, it is a really great concept about paying yourself, putting attention to the profits. And Barb even just uses this for her own life. And I am really excited to talk a little bit more with Barb as I continue practicing some of the things that she told me in this podcast about, paying yourself first and paying the business and doing things based on the profits. I can't go on and on. Just go ahead and take a listen, and you'll learn all about Barb Stackhouse. Barb, thank you so much for joining me here today. Barbara Stackhouse, I can't even use so many different things that you do that I don't even know where to start, other than the fact that it sounds like you are an awesome wife. Today is my anniversary, so it sounds like you have a great relationship with your husband, and I know you were just helping your kids celebrate an anniversary. You have 2 boys and then 3 grandsons, and that's always what I gush about, being a mom first, but on top of that, your background is you were a dental hygienist for years. You're now a board certified complementary and alternative health practitioner and a Profit First coach specifically in dentistry. And so it sounds like you could just any day pick something that sounds so fulfilling and fun to do. But why do you do what you do? Why do you have this amazing consultant practice and you still help people with their health? And what drives you, Barbara Stackhouse?
Well, thank you so much. I appreciate those compliments. And, it all started with dental hygiene, really, for me, being in a profession that is a helping profession. And I've always had that passion to want to help others. And so that actually led me into the next steps of my career and to teaching. And I was able to see dentists from a different side of them rather than just working for them, but now working with them. So I kind of got into the business side of dentistry and actually worked with someone else for a while and found out that through my own health crisis, that's where I got into the wellness piece. Isn't that true for all of us? We have to go through our own situation. And so kind of combining all of that together. So I still, I do have a wellness practice, but the coaching piece is really, kind of my mainstay and what has been so fulfilling. And then I found Profit First. And so Mike Michalowicz wrote a book called Profit First. And it really transformed my life and my husband's life. We started implementing this into our own businesses and found it to be just amazing. We saw the difference. And so I said, there's got to be a way that I can make this work for dentists. So I signed on with them, and I went through all of their training, and I am a certified Profit First professional coach. As you said, I work just with dentists, so that's my niche, and I love it. And they see amazing results from the Profit First concepts. And so just kind of my whole background, I pulled that all together along with Profit First, and it's amazing to watch it work.
Yeah, and it is working. But all right, so I have to, because when I think of, now I have just put myself in the shoes of being a medical professional, and I think of my dad, and I think of, when he ever needs to talk to someone about finances in his practice, he thinks about his accountant, he thinks about his financial planner, he thinks about his medical billing company. And I know you tell people, please get a financial planner before you even come and work with me. So tell me a little bit about that, and how is what you do specifically different, and why do you think they need a financial planner in addition to you, and what's that financial relationship like?
Sure. So what Profit First does is really more of a money management system. And it does not take the place of their accountant. It does not take the place of a financial advisor. Many times the dentists come to me because they want a plan to manage their money, and they're not reaching their goals with their, they may have had a financial planner, but they're not really reaching their goals. They're not setting aside what they want to, and they don't know how. So until the cash flow in the practice, until the money management piece gets straightened out, they can't see a way to do that. And so, yes, they do need to have their own financial planner, just like I do. My husband and I have that. So I help them figure out the how piece. How are we going to fund that? We know the goal. We know where we need to go, where you want to go. How are we going to fund that, along with, paying down debt, things like that dentists face. So what I do with Profit First for dentists is a very specific training and coaching program to help them reach those goals, and a way to do it in-house. It's managing their money without having to look at these accounting reports that don't really give them all the numbers. So it's called bank balance accounting, and anybody is welcome to read the book Profit First. Mike Michalowicz explains all of that. What I've done is customize it for dentists so that they know exactly what they need to do. They know what their plan is.
I can think of dentists already that I want to send your way, and I can think of, it sounds like your process. First of all, I'm getting the book, and I apologize. We just met a few days ago, so I haven't had time to go ahead and read it. Otherwise, I would have before even this interview. But so what I want to know is, when I'm meeting my friends who are dentists and I'm talking to them and I want to tell them about my friend Barbara Stackhouse and what she does, I think a big thing in being a busy health professional, and that we had talked about, you attract sometimes even women who are moms and dentists, and we have a lot going on. But what's the commitment like to work with you? What should they expect to have to put into it? Because I want to make sure that I'm sending you the right people, and people that are listening to this are saying, okay, I can do this, and I can make the commitment to call up Barbara Stackhouse to help me with my dentistry practice.
Yeah, and you said the big word is commitment. I want to work with dentists who will be successful. I want them to be successful with this program. And I always use the example because dentistry is notorious for this. And again, I'm not on the medical side like you are, but they go to a weekend course and they come back all pumped up and excited. They're going to implement something. It's going to change their practice. And it never really gets off the ground. And so I don't want that. I want them to be successful. So I do ask for commitment that they're going to do the work. And that requires some time to do it. And so I, right up front, tell them this is a process in the beginning that's going to take you 3 to 4 hours per week that you need to commit to doing the work. Because if you don't do the work up front, you're not going to see the results on the other end. And the other thing that I really look for in a dentist is that they're not complaining about everything. And I know that sounds kind of crazy, but I want people with a positive attitude that feel like they have hope, and that they're not just blaming, other circumstances or team members or something like that. We all have to look within. And so when I work with a dentist, I do a lot of mindset work as well that goes along with this program. So we don't often think about mindset intertwined with money, but it's such a huge piece because we have so much emotion wrapped around our money. We all do. And so I look for people who feel like there's hope, they have a positive attitude, they commit to the time, and they commit to do the work.
Okay, Barbara, you found your people. Like, these are the mindset people. These are the positive money mindset people. Like, that's who listens to these kind of podcasts. And I am right with you. Like, I have 3 brothers, and they all, when it's hockey season, my brother who is a goalie doesn't just have his team coach, he has a specific goalie coach. And my brother who's a forward, he doesn't just have, his team coaches, he has a specific skating coach. He even has a mindset coach. I mean, that's a family that I come from, and I feel like my brothers are championship hockey players and baseball players, all 3 of them. And then I think about that for myself. And we had talked about this a little bit, when we were talking about geeking out on technical stuff. And you had said, my coaches helped me with that. And I am a huge believer, right? Outsource the stuff that isn't your zone of genius. And I am so happy that you are such a niche type of coach, because that's, again, what this show is about. It's about finding people that are so niche down, because you're right. Dentistry inside and out. And I am so happy you're doing this in this field, because it is beyond needed. Like we were saying before, I mean, if I can take the health side of it, we both believe that dentists, the mouth is the window into, the rest of the person's health. And sometimes, or a lot of times, it really is that first line of defense that people don't even see. But let's just go back, because you are so niche down. And it's not just about coaching, though, but we had also talked about it's about accountability. And how do you feel like accountability? Because, I mean, maybe, right, again, in medicine, there's a lot of a placebo effect. So people believe that what you do is going to work. I don't know how the stars all align, but all of a sudden, like, money starts showing up. But what's the accountability piece like as well?
Yeah, so I think that accountability is a piece of it, but honestly, when you hire a coach, you're not hiring just for accountability. If you want an accountability partner, you can find those. They're a dime a dozen. The key is, do you know what to do? You want to find the best coach you can find for your area. And I tell dentists that. And, if they feel like someone else is a better fit for them, I honor that. But they need to find the best coach for what they're trying to do, for their goal. So I have a specific niche that I work with the money side of their practice, and I feel like I'm really, really good at that. And I also understand that if you don't get the money piece figured out first, all those other things that you try to implement, they work for a while, but we tend to go back to our old ways. And again, part of that's mindset, but part of it is because when we implement changes in anything, it affects our money. And so we go back to what is comfortable to us. So if we don't do the money piece, we don't get that squared away, and really have a handle on things, it's really hard to implement other things. So accountability is a piece, but I think you got to find somebody who's has the knowledge. You know, they've been doing this for a while. They know their stuff. They get results. They have a track record. You need to find out who they are, and you need to find out if they're a fit for you. You know, that's a huge thing too, that not everybody's personalities mesh together. And so you really want to have a coach that's willing to kick you in the behind, because sometimes that's what we need. And I have my own coaches too, as you mentioned. And, you know, I don't always like everything that they say, but it's like I have to dig inside myself and say, if I want to be better, this is what I need to do. They know, because they've gone before me, and they know, you know, the technical piece or whatever it is that I don't know. So look for somebody who knows things that you don't know, that are in your industry, and also will hold you accountable. You have to have the whole package.
Okay, but I'm a story girl, so I need to know exactly, like, give me a real life example. Give me a sneak peek as to what are some folks that you help, and what kind of transformation can we expect?
Sure. So I've worked with dentists literally all over the country and Canada. So I'll just give you a couple of things, some shifts, I guess. And some of these are mindset shifts, and then some are just, you know, the real things that happen when you start managing money in a specific way. And so I've been working with a dentist who, his wife is also a dentist. They're in the same building, but they have two separate practices. And so I've been working with him for a while, and he sent me an email, and he said, my wife reminded me that it's time to pay our quarterly taxes. And she said, ugh, I hate this time, as it rolls around too fast. You know, we have to come up with this money. And he said, I just smiled at her, and I said, I've got plenty. In fact, I have more than enough in my account to pay that quarterly taxes. And he wasn't worried about it at all. So that's one story. I have another one who is a female dentist who had a lot of practice debt that she was having to, you know, to pay down, but also kind of got behind on paying the bills. And so we talked about this, and she just didn't see any way possible she was ever going to be able to set aside money for profit. Because if you look at the name Profit First for dentists, that's one of the main things we do is we want to get paid, but as the owner of the business and taking the risk of the business, that profit account is your reward for being the owner and for taking that risk. And so she just felt like, I'm never going to be able to put money into my profit account. Well, that's the wrong mindset. So we worked on mindset. We shifted it around to where, you know, the profit goes in first, and we have a plan in place, and it's working to catch up everything. And she's getting there. She's almost there. But what she's seeing is that she can set aside profit. It's not impossible. And so those are just a couple of stories of just, you know, things that can happen in the practice. You know, also plenty of stories with finally understanding their overhead. You know, that's a big piece for dentists too, because dentistry is a very expensive profession. They have a lot of overhead, and they don't understand how to look at it and kind of chunk it down, is what I tell them. So we set up their chart of accounts in a very specific way. We work with their accountant to do that, and make sure everything's on the up and up. And but what I do is then help them see where their numbers fall within those different areas. And so I have an online software that they use to track their statistics. So, I mean, I have stories of multiple offices that are finally understanding their numbers. And, okay, well, what areas am I over? Am I overspending? And then what can I do about that? And so that's where I come in and help them see things in a different way and how they might change that situation. And so that's pretty exciting too, because that's a lot of where we find the money to fund these other things that really need to take precedence. So it's super exciting, super fun to work with dentists. And when they get that first profit check, they get that first quarterly distribution of that profit check, it's amazing. And I can say for myself too, my husband and I have implemented this in our business, and we were actually able to pay for a trip to Denmark this summer just from our profit checks. So that was, such a reward for us, both of us being business owners.
I like that you do that and reward, because I think that helps the mindset when it actually does manifest. This almost sounds like that TV show, The Profits, where they're going in. And I remember I worked in the restaurant industry for about 4 years and consulted with restaurants. And when you say about overhead, it's so surprising how few business owners even know what their overhead is and where it's all coming from. And so I think if I was a dentist, I'm going to pretend, give myself a license right now, and I owned a practice, I would probably start with your master class. That sounds like a good place to start. But what could I expect, without you? I mean, I know we can't, in the couple of minutes we have left, go through what I'm sure is at a minimum an hour or so lecture, right? But, what are some things that you go through a little bit more of, like the how are you, or what's the outline and the structure of that?
Sure. So if a dentist is interested in this masterclass, it's a webinar masterclass that they can register for online. And so they can go right to my website and find a link direct to that registration page. And actually the registration page will give them all of the kind of the items that are going to be covered. But it's the 5 steps that they can take. And it talks about the mindset. I talk about the principles in Profit First and how the equation is different when we look at it from a profit perspective versus GAAP, which is generally accepted accounting principles. Again, we're not doing away with those. Our accountant is still taking care of those, but we don't have to use those for our day-to-day managing. And looking at how to track those statistics and what are those categories, how does that fit into Profit First, and then finding a coach. So those are the 5 steps that I cover in that masterclass. And really from that, if they wanted to speak with me, there is a link that they can go right to my calendar and they can see my schedule and find a time that works for them. I would love to have a conversation, but that's really kind of the masterclass piece of what I teach in the very beginning. And then from that, signing up for the actual program, Profit First for Dentists, that is a 6-month program where it has some intensive training in the beginning. Like I said, there's a commitment to the time. So there's 8 weeks of intensive training every week. But there's also personal coaching, group coaching every week, contact with me when they need it. So try to provide them with as much support as I possibly can to get them through that.
And tell us, because I know you also have a free resource and a Facebook group. So where else can everyone find you? And if you want to just I'll put it in the show notes, your website and all that. But just let people know.
Sure. So I do have a private Facebook group, and it is for dentists only. And really the reason behind that is so that the dentists feel safe and comfortable in sharing in these challenges that they have in their office without the fear that they're going to be team members as well, so that they are comfortable coming there, sharing what's going on. And I post in there every week, usually a couple times a week. Sometimes I put a video in there. And again, you have to be a dentist. I have to verify that you are a dentist to be in that group. But we talk about a lot of these issues that come up. And so you're able to ask questions and share what's going on in your own practice. Or if you don't feel comfortable sharing it, they can always private message me, get on the phone with me. But that link to the Facebook group is also from my website. And that is just More to Life Coaching TN. We are in Tennessee, moretolifecoachingtn.com. All those links are there, and a little bit about me. It's not really an extensive website. I tried to keep it very simple because this is a simple, easy thing to do. Requires some time, requires some work, but I don't want you to get overwhelmed. I don't want any dentist to get overwhelmed with it.
Hi, my last question that I ask all of my guests is, what is your I did it? We think back if we look forward 5-10 years and think back, and you can just say, I did it. What would that be?
Yeah, so for me, I am a grandmother, so that tells a little bit about my age. And my husband, who has owned 3 different construction companies in 3 different states, he's ready to kind of say, I want to retire or semi-retire. So in the future, we want to look at maybe traveling a little bit more. But the beauty of this is that I can do this from anywhere. So in 5 years from now, I would love to have helped as many dentists as possible, because that's really what it's about for me. Of course, we all need to be paid, and there's that energy exchange that happens. So of course, that's important. But really, my reason for doing this is just my passion for helping dentists. And so I want to help as many as possible. I could potentially see, adding someone to help me with some of the logistics and making sure, people stay on track. And maybe eventually this is a company that I'm able to sell, train someone else and possibly sell it to them so it can continue on, because I feel like there's a legacy here that we need to keep going. I don't want to see it end. I feel like Profit First is such an amazing thing and can help so many people. And I just happen to have the niche for dentistry and really understand that overhead. So I'd love to see it continue on. But what we do in retirement and where that takes us, I'm not really sure yet. I would love to still be a part of this. Like I said, maybe training someone else to help with it as well would be my ideal.
That is just awesome. And again, Barbara Stackhouse, moretolifecoachingtn.com. I'll put all of that there in the show notes. And this has been just such a pleasure. I know we're going to help so many different dentists, but I also hope that other professionals who are on this call that might not be a dentist can think about and find someone who is just for their niche, because I do think that things, even in medicine, a physical therapist is not the same as a dentist, is not the same as an OBGYN, is not the same as, a naturopath. And I think that everyone needs to find, their coach. And I hope that our amazing tribe of people, when the right people come across this, they connect with you. Thank you guys again. This has been such a fantastic interview with Barbara Stackhouse.
Thanks so much for listening. I want to hang out with you more. I truly believe your success is related to the people you spend the most time with. That's why I created the free community, the Girlfriends Group of Health Practitioners. It's a safe space for you to connect with other soul practitioners who don't just want to keep the doors of their practice open, but they want to impact the health of their community. Head over to www.sarah.tugender.com and hit the tab at the top that says Group. Go in there and introduce yourself today. I'll see you soon.